Call me Mr. Chair. Okay, so this is Matt Clark, interim chairman of the Willington, Connecticut Economic Development Commission, calling to into session the March 23rd meeting of the Willington Economic Development Commission. And we will start with call to order. I did that. Then we do public participation. We want to see if there's any public participation. I'm looking up on the screen. We have no one attending via Zoom, and we have one person in the audience. And he's shaking his head. Nope, no input. Are you sure about that? Okay. By the way, we run a very loose ship here, so anytime you want to chime in with comments, that's fine. Cool.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
Okay. So we'll go to our commission business. By the way, I think, Mike, what is a quorum for this commission? Is it 4 or 3? I don't know. 3. So we have a quorum. We'll be able to vote on our minutes later on. Economic Development Commission, Economic Development Strategic Plan, ongoing implementation. I have nothing to report on this. I don't think. I have some stuff on tax stabilization that I'd like to go over, but nothing on the economic development strategic plan. Do you have anything? Any of you guys?
Yeah, just from the tourism end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, finally got all the paperwork finished for the tourism. There was some question as to, Peter sent in the letter to make it official that I'm on it, and then the letter, I don't know, disappeared someplace, and they just redid that. Okay. So also I have a meeting coming up with Andrea Manning, who is the district supervisor for that and district coordinator. And she and I and another girl who evidently is new, she's going to give us the lowdown on how things go and what's, I go to the meetings and I have no idea what they're talking about. And it's all, using letters and abbreviations and everything else, and I really don't have a clue. I am a little bit surprised that Mystic comes up so much, and it's supposed to be, really all Eastern. The lion's share of the work, et cetera, goes to Mystic. I understand why, but I think we have to figure out how to get some more attention up here, probably within the next year or so. But anyway, so it's moving.
Interesting. So we're all rural. We're about farming and beautiful landscape, scenery, country, hiking, nature preserves, all that kind of thing. I don't know too much. This is tourism. I don't know too much other tourism stuff that goes on in the quiet corner or the Forgotten Valley, or what do we call ourselves?
It's the Last Green Valley, but we're technically not part of the Last Green Valley. But that gal on tourism is going to talk to me about whether we can coordinate something with Last Green Valley. There are a lot of things to do when you get here. Mm-hmm. You can go to Mansfield and do the climbing thing there that I always wanted to do, and then I got too old to do it. Mm-hmm. And excuse me, we have an outdoor theater in Mansfield and a bowling alley across from that.
Bowling alley in Mansfield?
Yeah, there's a bowling alley almost very close to.
Right.
Yeah, so down that way. Is it getting down into Coventry by then? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's Mansfield. That's duck pin bowling.
Okay. And so there are those kinds of things to do. We're 30 minutes from Sturbridge. And that's a very nice thing to do. We've got the race cars in Stafford Springs. Okay, and that can bring in a lot of people. You have all kinds of cultural events at UConn that go on. So a person coming, if we could get our, Unwind in Willington weekend thing going, if people come for a weekend, there are things to do. There's things to do with kids. There's things to do with elderly people. There are museums around. And some of it might just be putting your kayak in the Willimantic River once we get that all cleaned out along that part of our boundary and use that. So there are things to do here. We just need to develop them. That's all. We have to go out and knock on doors and talk to people and convince them that they want to do it. And I'm hoping that before much longer, we do get some people that come in with B&Bs, not Airbnb, just, a regular bed and breakfast. Because that's really nice. And that would be an attraction. Look at Yukon, that overflow from Yukon, when you have parents' weekend and things like that, graduation, to be able to go and stay someplace where there might be an outdoor area and a bonfire and a place for your family to gather, which you don't have on Yukon campus and you don't have in most hotels. We can develop this.
I was thinking that one of the reasons why the tourism group focuses so much on it's mystic. The state has lots of large investments there in terms of tourism.
Oh, yes.
And those are
Yeah.
large attractions. However, the way to get our fair share, if you will, or get more attention, might be to reach out for us to reach out to other towns in this area and say, okay, there's not 3 farms.
Yeah.
In this area, there's now, once we reach out, we can catalog them all out and say there's 32.
Yes.
Now, when you go to your meeting, you can say there's 32 farms that have agreed to participate or have their be listed or whatever, something like that. But
I asked for the contact people for Ashford. Stafford Springs is not in our Eastern Connecticut group. It's more in the Metro, but that's okay. I still want the contact person for that one. Holland, even going as far as Pomfret and Woodstock. We have within 40 minutes of here, we have some of the best antiquing in New England, right in Putnam. And there's so much to do in Putnam. And their hotel is okay, but it's not like something you rush to. I've been there. It's nice, but it's not like it doesn't appear to me to be the place where people would go and spend the whole weekend and go with purpose to see. But we need to have that. So my question for them too is, if we want to put up a hotel, that's really a key point of the tourism. We have to have a place. You have to have a place for people to stay. You got to feed them, and you have to have something for them to do. And it's just 3 things we have to focus on. Now, what I don't know is if I sit down with Mike and we find, well, there's these 3 parcels of land that would work for hotels. How do we contact with the hotels? How do you do that marketing? You're the marketing man, okay? And I'm sitting on the marketing committee for the tourism because I want to know how to market it. That to me is the big question. That's what I don't have a clue where to
our
start.
strategic plan, I think, I can look it up. We can discuss it at our next meeting, but I think what it indicates is being listed on the databases of available properties with approved zoning or zoning that would fit that
Yeah.
requirement. And
Yeah.
then listing the benefits of that, and then projecting out demographically what the market would be, and then putting that into a package. There's more as well, but putting that into a
Yes.
package, listing it on the database. So the first step is when these folks, Marriott or whatever, doesn't matter who it is, when they're looking at these things, they go to the databases and they come up with a list, and they put in their criteria, and they want to see which ones does this check. Give me a list of them, and they start looking directly, and then they could develop a short list. Then they contact the land use office and start talking to people. But unless you're in that mix, there's nothing happens. So, am I right about this, Mike? I think
That's part of it. One of the things that I was kind of thinking about in my head that is again on our strategic plan list, I think, but maybe moving it up. I think that the first step, there's not going to be dozens of parcels with development opportunity here. We're not going to have
That's
dozens.
right. Yeah.
So I talked a little bit about like what I think that we should do, and I've started preparing a list, is identify less than 10 parcels which we think have development opportunity and make an effort to in a sort of a non-commission format, because I'm not trying to discount this process, but a lot of people don't want to have these discussions during public meetings, like property owners, but I talked with Mike about reaching out on behalf of sort of the town to invite on a one-on-one basis these strategic property owners in to meet with the town. And I think then having someone from economic development, but perhaps in that meeting, I know Bill has kind of done that with some of the parcels already with, as things have gone on, but I think we need to meet with the owners. We need to see what their plans are. Do they have an interest in development? Do they have a realtor? Have they done any market analyses? Are they going to lock it up for the next 50 years in probate? I think we need to really know what their plans are. And then I think from there, we can say, well, if what you want to do matches what sort of the town's vision is for the property, here's how we can kind of work that forward. I think that's probably a good way to get the ball rolling, because we've got some big parcels and some open parcels, but if the property owners are not interested,
Yeah, it's all for
DOA.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if they don't know anything about what's been going on, then they probably wouldn't be maybe knowing what's going on and the interest in developing tourism. Just that things are moving ahead might make some of them think twice and begin to consider it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's all, we don't have those perspectives exactly. So, I think, like I said, I started making a list. So if that makes sense to you guys, I'll sort of continue with trying to I've been just going through the map based on the zones and trying to figure out which one has viability and which one doesn't. I mean, yeah, there's several parcels that carry some type of non-residential zoning designation or listed in the POCD or whatever, but they're not all developable. So I think that is perhaps useful. You
Yes.
know.
Great.
I think that's the first step. Thank you.
So I'll continue down that path,
Okay.
making that list.
All right. Right. I'd like, is it okay if we move forward to the tax stabilization ordinance?
As far as I'm concerned, thank you very much for your time.
So we discussed this summary at the last meeting. We agreed. I think I'd like to reach out to Mike, and I need to get permission to call the lawyer because it might incur $100 worth of funds, but I need to ask questions. I need a list of ordinances that support tax stabilization policies, and I need to make sure they're right. I'll develop the list. I just need to make sure that they're all listed. We don't make a mistake.
I don't understand. I don't.
I developed this tax stabilization along with the lawyers
Mhm.
when I
The
was
proposed ordinance.
selectman. Yeah.
Yep.
And in the materials, they sent along to me the ordinances that in Hartford, the law. And I need to make sure that we're not missing any. I need to contact them and say, these are the ordinances that allow us to do this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I need to know exactly what those are and that there's nothing missing. Because I don't want to go into a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen and say, here's a summary and then have it be wrong. But I can't do that now because we have no budget to pay a lawyer here at Economic Development Commission. So I'll be doing that if it's okay with you guys. And then the next thing would be getting on the Board of Selectmen's agenda. They're in budget season right now, so I imagine that would be over sometime in April or May, sometime soon. And maybe they'll be able to take this up at that time. Like a plan? All right.
Can I just
Yeah.
make one comment on the stabilization? And I know that it really shifts everything around related to that, and particularly when you're coming back around to something that wasn't successful. Are we sure that there isn't value to including language within the agreement related to abatement?
Well, the lawyer suggested that. And I originally said, I think that including the word abatement means giving away for free. I felt as though the people of Willington wouldn't support that. from an implementation perspective, it allows us a lot of leeway and we're much more likely to be successful. However, I didn't think it would pass.
Agreed. And I'm wondering if there's a
It
way.
didn't pass anyway, but
Yeah, well, stabilization works if you have, in my mind, an unstable assessment.
Mhm.
And so when you're valuing things like batteries and solar panels, then yes, stabilization makes sense because it's gonna go like this and then it'll drop like a rock. And so there's some value there.
Yeah.
But when you have like a more traditional real estate investment, those values are not necessarily unstable.
no, but you can agree on what those values will be
Right.
for the life of the agreement.
Yeah, but
So
I guess
therefore, you
the-
could,
the benefit is, at least one of the benefits is that with a less traditional real estate development, you have that really steep adjustment. And so the reason why there's a lot of that back and forth is because if the asset or the project appreciates faster than when we're going to go through another reval, then they're likely to want to appeal that assessment because they're going to say, just like a laptop, it's worth half of what it was after a year or two. So I've been thinking about this since the meeting where it failed, recognizing that many towns offer abatement. And to your point, yes, it is giving away, but I would say not for free, because generally there's something to be gained on behalf of the town. And so it could be the development, it could be jobs, it could be housing, it could also be infrastructure, right? It may be that there's a significant project in South Willington, and for an extra several $1 million, they want to run that infrastructure up River Road. Well, they're not going to do it for free. And if they make an investment that doesn't impact the value of their real estate, so all site work, infrastructure, utilities, there's no value in that. So they could have a project of $20 million and they could have $8 million in utility costs, et cetera. That creates zero value for them. And so if we're saying, hey, can you run this water line a little bit further because we got this project at, the school and it's coming in a couple of years. And so can you run that further? Can you do this? Can you do that? The answer is going to be no, because we can't stabilize value they're not creating, but we can't abate it. We could say, well, your costs are an extra $3 million to run that water line to the town's school. So we're going to account for that by abating an equivalent value in your taxes. So we're getting X and you're getting Y. But with the stabilization discussion, we don't have that ability because they're not creating that value for themselves. So I just feel like I want to make sure that there's only sort of one, I won't say there's only one chance at this because you already had one chance. This is the second chance, and I don't want to do a third time as the charm scenario. So I just want to make sure we're not leaving that we're not discounting that. We shouldn't.
well, the reasons given in the town meeting, or the conversation, the opposition was, I think, three things. Number one is, the first one was it gives too much power to the Board of Selectmen to do this. We're not qualified. We don't have good enough people to be able to
Right.
negotiate.
Which is stupid.
I'm not gonna,
Yeah, well,
that's number one.
it's a dumb reason. It's not valid.
Yeah.
And
And then the second one was, that, we're giving things away. And the third one was, it just adds to the amount of money that we feed into government. I don't want government to grow. And
right,
so therefore, we shouldn't do it.
would be no need for government to grow.
So, but the only one that was meaningful there was in my mind was the fact that they felt as though it was a giveaway. And even though I said it's not a giveaway, it's a conversation, be negotiated, blah, 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 it didn't seem to make a difference. I'm not sure that including an abatement at this point would be helpful to getting it passed in the future. I'm not quite sure. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we have a meeting. Our next step is a meeting with the Board of Selectmen, a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen. Our proposal now does not include any abatements, but we can do that, and see where we go from there.
Is this kind of a deferment of taxes?
No, it's a you don't have to pay taxes on this.
Well, for abatement or for stabilization?
For either way, for the program as it's being, I'm just trying to play with the semantics here a little bit. The program as it is put up now, is it a way of deferring taxes from now and they will be paid up later?
It's a way of taking the total taxes owed over the period of the agreement and splitting them evenly annually.
Okay, well, that's kind of what I mean. You're taking, instead of the big chunk of tax, you're taking it and you're deferring it along 10 years or something. I'm just wondering if that word works or not.
If the word,
Deferment, deferring the taxes until later.
I think that, well, the other thing that I heard when we initially floated this
Yeah.
Years ago, at this point with Board of Finance, was when the town is in the position that it is with regard to grand list and finances and budget, why would we do anything that means we get less money now and more money later? If I could get $10 by just assessing you full value, why would I enter into an agreement and do this whole big complicated ordinance to say you only got to pay $5 now and you'll pay the other $5 over the next 10 years? We need that money right now. It's worth more to us now than it is in 2 years. And what they're not connecting is that in the situations where this is valuable and would be implemented, the $5 or the $10 that's on the table isn't, the alternative takes it off the table. Because these projects die.
Let's be clear. You can either have $5 now and then the rest of the money over time, or you can have zero.
Correct. That's the alternative.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking about it that
Yeah,
way.
that's what I'm wondering, is that they may say we're missing this tax right now, but the fact is, if you don't go along with this, you're getting nothing.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's sort of like the lump sum versus the annuity, right?
Yeah,
Some people want it all up front. I just want it now. But you end up, the net is less. So I think one of the things that I was considering, and John and I haven't put our heads together on it entirely, but if we want to go in this direction, well, I think regardless, but it's going to be hard with stabilization because I only know of one example of an implemented stabilization agreement. But if we wanted to consider both options, my thought was that we would go to towns which have successfully negotiated these agreements, and we would actually put together project examples to show this is the development, this was the value, this was the abatement agreement, and this is kind of how it all worked. And this is the criteria that sort of led them to making the decision. Because I think that factors into it. A lot of towns will look at how big is the project, how many jobs will it create?
Mhm.
There's a lot of factors.
Now, what do they call it, though? We're into a semantics issue.
Everybody else, most towns call it an abatement because that's what it is. Many towns go only with an abatement. There are not a lot of towns that you see are going stabilization because it's not as.
Makes it sound like your taxes are shaky.
It's
You know,
a
when you say
viable option
stabilization.
to try to at least introduce stabilization, and even for a period of time, see if we can garner any type of interest with that. If it doesn't, then we can always bring it back and say, okay, we tried this. It's not getting any traction anywhere. We need to offer something a bit further than this. And then we amend it to add abatement to it. That way, at least the townspeople can realize we're trying to bring a softer approach first.
Hmm.
And we're not trying to, give everything away, so to speak. It's not working. We have to go to a stronger, more attractive idea for businesses. And that way, at least people can understand that, we're really trying on the lower end, but we'll see. And
Depends on how long you want to wait. I mean, even if the project showed up tomorrow, it would be 2 to 3 years before
No.
anything got built and finished. So
I realize
we'd be parking it for 5.
I know, it can't wait that. I guess I'm trying
And our situation is not getting any easier.
to figure out how to
No.
introduce something in a way that people can digest it and not overwhelm and have everybody just freak out and say no to it, flat out, anything. And then we're stuck.
Well,
Again.
I mean, another thing is presenting two options in a town meeting means from a psychological perspective. I don't really like to talk like this, but from a psychological perspective, it's very easy to be able to say, well, I voted no on the one that was really bad. And I voted yes for the
Yeah,
other one.
I mean, well, there is sort of some strategy to that, but, you know, and I'm happy to participate in that discussion when it goes, if you think it would be helpful, but I do think that there is a reality, which is that the situation isn't getting any better.
Yeah.
We have to do something, and it's all well and good to satisfy people who are not experts in this area that are skeptical of an abatement.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if the abatement is what makes a project viable, well, you know, what are we gonna do at that point, right? We're gonna,
Well, some people will say, then fine, if it's not viable, then we don't want it.
right,
And other folks will say, well, wait a minute, I mean, half of eight is better than 0% of 10. So anyway, let's continue that conversation. Have you talked to Mike about that at all?
I talked to Mike about it after the town meeting where it didn't pass, just because I happened to see him outside as I was leaving. I saw him and Bill. I said, listen, I think that this presents an opportunity for us to kind of go back and really sort of shake the trees with both options. And we didn't get into it. That was my opinion, because I think we want to use these projects to get something, and the only way to get something is to give something.
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of the upcoming workshop meeting with the Board of Selectmen is to invite the public to review and understand tax stabilization policy. In order for us to move forward and have something else as well, that would have to be developed. I'd rather not be stagnant and not move forward. We're already, it's March. These things fly by. Pretty soon we're gonna turn around and it's gonna be December. I mean, we can gather input on that from the Board of Selectmen at that point and get their input and stuff. But I'd like to move forward if we can now with this. When you're on planning and zoning, you have your meetings with the tourism and stuff like that. Are you guys available on Mondays?
Night, day.
Yeah, Mondays, Monday nights.
Walters.
Yeah, usually.
It's still right. They meet a lot on Mondays. If they're not.
So, if we're gonna,
Thursdays, but some of the CIP is Mondays.
what I'd like to be able to do is have well, I don't want to have that either. So maybe we have it on a Friday. I'm looking for input. I'd like to be able to maximize the participation of folks that are on our boards and committees that would be able to attend our workshop on tax stabilization, and also at the same time, the public. And I've run across this before where no one has time to do anything and no one has time to contribute. And I didn't know what was happening, and I didn't know. And how did this happen? I mean, we had that at the town meeting where it was where the tax stabilization was shot down. This is the first I heard of this. We've been working on it for over a year in the Economic Development Commission, and over 8 months in the Board of Selectmen. I'd like to be able to get something where people can actually participate.
Are you available on Tuesdays?
Yeah, I'm available whenever.
Because Walter's on Board of Finance and PCC. Mike obviously is on PCC. Bill Vanell, I think, is an alternate on Board of Finance.
I believe so.
Ralph generally attends PCC when he can. Andy obviously sat on PCC for a while.
The Board of Finance doesn't meet on Tuesdays.
Right. And so Walter be sort of having the Board of Finance perspective, and then I don't know who else is on it, but I feel like thinking about the players on those groups, most of them are already have been or are likely to be attending a PCC meeting already. So if it worked for you, then I think we could pick a date and make.
Let's come up with 3 dates on our calendars that we can do on a Tuesday, and let's see, we're in March now, so second week of April through second week of May. Would that be okay?
In April, I won't be here, but that's.
You're not going to be here?
I'm going to be in Europe.
Europe? I didn't get the invitation to accompany you to Europe.
I need somebody to carry my suitcase.
That was good. Okay, so
We make other comments, but it's
no.
recorded.
We say the 14th.
What about May 5th? Because they meet first and third. We've been canceling the second meeting of the month based on business. So it would be either this April 7th, which is like in a couple of weeks.
No.
So then the next one would be May 5th.
All right, let's try. Are you available May 5th?
Yep.
An hour next to that. And then how about the next available time, Mike?
The next one would be, if that didn't work, we'd be at June 9th.
June 9th.
So you're thinking Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, EDC,
Yeah.
and who else?
No, I'm just thinking about Board of Selectmen and the Economic Development Commission and inviting the public and everybody that's on the other boards and commissions.
So that would be, I mean, what it would, I think we could talk about it as either a workshop or I don't know what we would call it, but it would include.
I wanted to have it be a public meeting, but
Yes.
Mike said no. We didn't want to spend the money for a public announcement and then put advertising in the paper. So it can't be a public meeting.
Well,
Well, so-
no, it's a difference between a public hearing and a public meeting. You're not talking about a public hearing, which would need to be advertised. A public meeting just needs to be posted.
I think
Right.
he's talking about Mike and Koo, you mean town meeting, because they spend,
Mhm.
when they do the warrant or whatever. But we could run a legal notice advertising the meeting, because it would be on the PCC item. We have a legal notice budget, and it would be a PCC meeting. So that is not expensive. So we could do that.
Okay.
The town meeting requirements under the statute is that you have to post the whole call, which is very, very expensive. But just advertising a meeting that we're gonna have a multi-commission workshop pertaining to the following, you know, that is like $75. So we could do that.
Do we have to be in touch with Walter to see whether or not we can include the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Well, so the way that, to make it work with the scheduling, what I'm thinking is that it'd be part of that PCC meeting and that the other groups would be involved, because they already have a regular meeting scheduled. The room's booked, time is there, they're already available.
Why don't we double check and make sure that Walt and the other
Yeah,
with Planning and Zoning are okay with that? Is that?
Yeah, if you want to check, I mean,
I'll confirm at the April meeting,
All right.
for the May. Because I know during budget season, getting Walter and some of those other guys to find another open date, and the date that the room isn't booked is gonna be.
So I'm familiar with the chairman of the Republican committee. So we choose the chairman of the Democrat committee now.
We're
No
elected
idea.
again. It is, John,
John. I need to
right
reach
now.
out- I need to reach out to John and have
Yeah.
him ask if his group, if people can join that meeting that we have with the selectmen. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else is on the, I don't even know who is who on any, on P and Z, but like we have Bob.
I mean, Bob's on,
Is he a D?
yeah, and he's on inland wetlands too.
it's
right?
also conservation.
no,
No, conservation. Conservation.
But if he's a D, then he could invite,
Yeah,
he could put it out through those channels.
right.
All right, so we're good.
So let me confirm, I'll confirm at their meeting in 2 weeks that the May 5th is sort of the target with a June as a backup. And then
Well, check with Mike too. So
Mike McCoo.
yeah, please.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's see, where was I? Dates. I sent out a note to Walter saying that the economic development, moving forward to 3C, consideration of zoning regulation amendments. I sent out a note to Walter saying that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends revisiting the SDZ, as we talked about in our last Economic Development Commission meeting. And he was happy to hear that and was going to bring that up with you guys. It'll probably be on an upcoming agenda. So that's that. And I don't have anything else to report on that. Do you, Mike?
no,
No. Business outreach survey. This is done by agenda by Mike D'Amato. I think we had in a previous meeting, you had indicated that we talked about this, and it might be something we can do for outreach. Is that right?
So, yeah, I mean, it is sort of part of the strategic plan. We have done 2 of these since I have been working with the town. Most recently, we did some unrelated to anything like ARPA funds, et cetera. We did it during COVID to get a sense of what the businesses were in need of or what issues they were dealing with, et cetera. But I sort of thought we did a similar type survey related to a POCD update in another town. And it was more, and we found more people to respond than we expected. It was a simple 1-page, just asking them some basic questions, but it was about things pertaining to sort of the positives, trying to understand why they located here, remain located here, but also things that they had concerns about. And that could be, any number of things: taxes, traffic, access to workforce, access to internet data, et cetera. And then also just trying to understand their needs, both long-term and short-term, both as a business, and then having that shed some light on how we could help.
When's the last time we did this? Because we did the outreach for the strategic plan, which was I think one-on-one. We didn't do a survey, but we did outreach.
Yes,
When's the last time we did it previous to that? Do you remember?
during COVID.
During COVID, so that's 5 years.
I don't know exactly when. It wasn't 2020. It was been a little bit after, yes. And then we did it for the break grant, use I think the same list.
Right, I remember that.
But this is more about asking very focused questions in a manner that's like check this box type stuff. So it doesn't need a lot of time, sending them a self-addressed envelope, and they can pop it back in the mail to just understand what specifically they need. And also offering to them a phone number and an email address and a name if they ever want to just schedule time to sit down and ask a question or rant, we're here.
John?
Yeah. So I mean, this is related. It's maybe a spin-off idea, but in doing the minutes from last meeting where you had some of the ag producers come and talk about some of their concerns and stuff like that, it struck me that might also, I would say, maybe as an adjunct to what Mike D'Amato is suggesting, that we could sort of break up the sectors a little bit into maybe some of like hospitality stuff with like people with restaurants and things like that, some service industry. Invite them in to planning to economic development and say, listen, you are a restaurant or a hospitality business in Willington. We are having a focus meeting to try to hear more from you, and to basically invite this focus group in just to talk to you, and which can get into more depth and is a more free-flowing conversation than a limited survey. Obviously, people's availability to come out to a meeting is a little bit different than them filling out basically a postcard size thing. So it may be, a both and rather than either or. But I was struck that, you're the most participation you've had in an EDC meeting over, the last year plus was when you asked the farmers to come and talk. Right. So this might be something that we could do with other sectors.
Yeah, actually, it's the Conservation Commission that asked them to come to our meeting. But
right.
Yes,
well, so there you go.
agree.
I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but I not to step on Mike's idea, which I think is an important step, because you're not going to get a huge audience all the time like that.
But I mean, there's an important connection there. They came to a meeting because the idea that an ordinance that would make their businesses more viable in Willington was on the table, right? So they showed up because there was something in it for them. It was a conversation. They were being asked to present their opinion. So I think along those same lines, maybe there's a connection that we should make there with regard to some of these things we're talking about, either zoning reg updates or tax stabilization, abatement, et cetera, because they're the ones that have the skin in that game. So I think rather than just, maybe we can pull all that together in some way so the sequence makes some sense.
Yeah. I mean, we can do outreach in the checkbox way that you were just talking about, and survey and stuff like that, and then at the end have an invite, if you will.
Yeah.
So
I think we can maybe something that can be sort of born from the commission workshop we'll have in May, assuming everything can proceed forward, is sort of to tag some of that outreach.
Yeah.
So then we can host a business discussion once we get maybe the nuts and bolts of whatever ordinance is gonna go forward, pulled together, so we can get their feedback. And I mean, you start talking about taxes from a group of people that pay taxes but don't get a vote in what the taxes are. Right, that was one of the gripes.
They do. They vote for taxes. They just don't vote. They vote in referendum and they vote on taxes. They just don't vote for office holders.
Yeah, I guess technically they could do that. I don't know how many do, or if
I looked it up once. It was like 6 or 7.
people.
Not this last election. It was one of the ones previous, but
Hmm.
yeah. But anyway, yes. So, yeah, I think it's good. Can you do me a favor, Mike? I guess can you look up the old surveys that we had, or one of them? Not the completed ones,
Yeah,
and send it to the group.
talking about the questions, or you're talking about the recipients?
Question. Recipients were from the directory that we did in 2019 or 20, and the applicants to the ARPA grant. So yeah, if you could send along those to the group, maybe we can discuss content and what we want to ask at our next meeting, decide on it. Is that okay with everyone? What do you think?
Can I give you an example survey that's not from here, because I think it might have more relevant questions to get your.
Good. Good. You good, John?
I just have one thing. We did the town passed a sustainability
Mhm.
program, and there are monies available that you can apply for through that.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be a bad idea if we took a look at it throughout the month.
Mhm.
I haven't put my nose into it the way I should, and see if there is a grant that we could use to be able to coordinate all of these sections of town. We had the meeting with the farmers. So what about everybody else? Is there some way to coordinate better and get ideas from people?
Mhm.
And I'm not sure that may be well beyond the purview of the grants, but we can take a look and see how we can use the sustainability to help us out.
Actually, yeah, that reminds me. One of the things that came up in our last meeting was what's his name? It's over there in the right hand corner. I'm getting old. I apologize. The John T. John T. was over there.
John
He indicated that the sustainability committee was having a speaker come to talk about opportunities. And he said some of it had to do with economic development. I went to that meeting, but there was there was a communications issue, so that person didn't participate. So there was no conversation about that at the last WISE meeting. So I'm sure that they'll let us know when there's another one, when that person will be there. So I did do that. Anyway. Okay. I guess anything else? I think everything else. We can move to approval of minutes. And I have a confession to make. I did not read these. I'm sorry, John. You do such a wonderful job.
That's all right. You can take my word that they're absolutely flawless.
Yes. You did do that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm usually pretty good at this, so apologies. So I'm going to abstain from voting on that. But if you want to, we can move this to the next meeting. But are you okay, Joan, or do you want to wait?
I think I ought to wait because
Okay.
I looked through them, but I
Let's
didn't
table.
read them the way I should.
Let's table to the next meeting.
Okay.
And any other public participation? We have no one joining our group, and Ralph is left to go to the school building committee, I think, meeting upstairs.
Yep.
I don't have anything else, and I'll do a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.